The Great Depression by Emma McDonald, Cindy McDonald, and Lolly Lopez. Narrated by Cindy McDonald. The Great Depression began after the stock market crashed on October 29, 1929. This day is also known as Black Tuesday. It scared a lot of investors and it sent Wall Street into a panic. It lasted for approximately 10 long years. The Great Depression became the world's biggest crisis. Multiple banks were handing out loans to people who could not pay it back. As soon as the stock market crashed, people began to take all their money out of the banks. They would try to save their money as much as possible, causing the economy to come to a halt. People were laid off because they could not be paid. A lot of banks went bankrupt, and a lot of stores went out of business. The Great Depression had a major impact on the American population. The economy crisis led to a 51% decline in mass production, and every 1 in 4 individuals were unemployed. The unemployed could not afford many things such as living spaces. They were forced to live on the streets or in shanty towns. A shanty town is a poorly built hut on outskirts of the city. President Herbert Hoover attempted to improve the United States economy, but his choices only worsened the economy. Hoover did not want to involve the federal government in enforcing fixed prices, controlling businesses, or manipulating the value of money. He also refused to use federal money to aid federal citizens. Instead, he focused on volunteerism to raise funds. Hoover failed to make progress and lost his re-election to Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd president in 1932. In his election, he promised Americans a New Deal. The New Deal consisted of federal programs, financial reforms, and regulations to combat the Great Depression. Roosevelt's aides brought the American people hope, and they began to regain faith in themselves. In 1936, FDR was re-elected because he won by a huge margin. When this happened, he felt armed with a popular mandate, so he decided to enlarge the Supreme Court, which was included in the New Deal. Unfortunately, he was unable to expand the Supreme Court, but a constitutional law allowed the government to regain the economy. Most people believe that World War II was not the New Deal. The Great Depression, although if FDR had continued to focus on the New Deal instead of the war, he would successfully ended the Great Depression. World War II ended the Great Depression because money began to flow and people began to spend.